Morning, guys. You are more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine. Here's the game changer for me. I want to share with you. When I made the decision, the determination, the choice to take everything that has happened in my life, all the failures, all the mistakes, things I don't like, things I got angry about, things that I knew I could change, when I took all that negative energy, stored it up inside, and you can do this too, and made the decision to now transform it into the most beautiful light I can be, it changed everything. And now I'm on this path to infinite mind wealth that I want to share with you openly and honestly. You have that same power, but you got to find it within you. You got to make the determination within you. Have a great day, everybody. Good morning, guys.
Rise and shine, it's espresso time. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and successful people don't wake up every day and say, yes, today is going to be amazing. The difference is they have a powerful morning routine, like watching one of these videos, that set them up for success. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee and get ready for a shot of espresso from Tom Bilyeu.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
I get this question so much you can't imagine. How do I find my passion? The good news is, passion is not something that's handed to you. It is not a lightning bolt moment. It's another nice, simple mathematical equation. First of all, you need to identify your areas of interest. Everybody's interested in something. And I find the big problem is people stop themselves because they say, yeah, well, the thing that I'm interested in couldn't possibly be a business. So let's take video games back in the 80s. Back when everybody thought that video games were a joke, you're ruining your brain, it's like intellectual candy, kids get off the computer, go play outside, Nintendo's a joke, it's ridiculous. And then we have an entire industry now that's born up around video games that has made untold numbers of millionaires. I met one of the founders of Riot Games that created League of Legends. The guy is like, I don't know, 31, maybe younger. I mean, just crazy. They do $1 billion in revenue from microtransactions of things that are not essential to play the game. The game is totally free to play. You don't need to pay for anything. Imagine that for a second. You're in an industry where they don't need to buy anything to get full use of your game, and yet you do over $1 billion in revenue because they said, I love this. I like being around games. I like the competition of it. I think it's amazing. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to be inventive. I'm going to look for areas to add value. And so they have. And more people now watch esports, the finale of League of Legends, then watch the finales, I think, of all major sports combined. It's crazy. They fill arenas. It's absolutely bonkers. But that was somebody who said, this is something I love. It's something I want to be around. It is an area of interest, and I don't care if other people tell me that it can't be a business. It's what I want to be around. With enough ingenuity and enough forethought into what actually can be a business, because some things can't, you can really do something with something that's an interest. All right, so an interest, you need to gain mastery in it. During the process of gaining mastery, you'll find out whether you actually like that thing enough to become great at it. It is my belief, whatever it is you set out to do as a business, there should be one litmus test. You should be able to ask and affirmatively answer the following question. Do I want to know more about this than anyone else in the world? Don't get into something unless you plan to be the best. That's my piece of advice. I know that's not going to sit well with everybody. But if you want to have the passion to make something big, to make big change, it's got to be something that you believe in beyond reasonable doubt. It's got to be something you've just got to make happen. So ask yourself, do I want to know more about this than anyone else? Because you're going to have to get better at it than anyone else if you want to be excellent and deliver on the promise. All right, interest over time plus mastery equals passion. That's how you find your passion.
I'm going to teach you the entrepreneur success formula. This is the formula. It's very simple. It's easy to apply, that when you actually execute it, it will change the course of your life and your business. The entrepreneur success formula. Are you ready? You need to, if you want to have success as an entrepreneur, combine what you love doing with what brings value to other people. People mess this up. What you love doing with what brings value to other people. In that intersection is your next great, genius, amazing business idea. Here's what most people do. Most people just pick one. Most people either pick what they love doing, but they can't figure out how to bring value to other people. So you've got a hobby. If you love doing something, it just fills you up, it's amazing, but it never brings value to other people, then you never get paid. You've got a really fulfilling hobby. And that could be great. And your hobby can be something you do in the evenings and weekends, and it fills up your soul, but you'll never turn that into a business if you don't figure out how to bring value to other people. So you're stuck always having to have a job or go work for somebody else while you're doing your hobby on the weekends, evenings, on the side, etc. So those are the people who just chase what they love doing, right? They chase your passion. Amazing. There's other people, a lot of entrepreneurs, who just go after the money. Just try to bring value. Just go after opportunity, right? That's the only focus. Like, I'll do whatever it takes. I need to be a millionaire by the time I'm X years old. I'll do whatever it takes, but you won't. You will not do whatever it takes, because as soon as it gets hard, you're going to lose. And the problem is you're going up against people who love it. Pick whatever industry. You open up a magazine or website. It shows you the hottest businesses for next year. These are the industries that will take off, and you have to get into it. It's like, oh, wow, that's hot. I'm going to go off and do those things. If you don't absolutely love it, right? This part here, if you don't actually love it, what you love doing, what it brings value to other people, if you don't absolutely love it, you're going to lose, because you're going up against people who do love it. If it's just a strategy for you, but for other people, they love it, you're going to lose every time. You're going to lose every time, because while you're counting the hours and while you're trying to figure out, oh my gosh, when is this going to pay off? You're going up against people who aren't even tracking it, who get lost in it, who 12 hours later, they're still doing the thing because they love it so much and they can't believe that, like, where is the time gone? So it has to be in that combination. So many entrepreneurs start a business because they think they're going to make a lot of money, and they end up going broke. And it wasn't because the idea was bad. The idea could have been fantastic. The problem was you didn't love it enough. You didn't care about it enough. It was just a strategy. It was just an opportunity for you instead of being actually something that you love. So the entrepreneur success formula: you start with doing what you love, and then you figure out how to bring value to other people doing it. Another way I like to explain it is your heart and your head. So you make the big decisions in life with your heart and the small ones with your head. What you work on, what you do, what you're spending your time on day in, day out has to be heart driven. It's got to be something that fills you up with so much joy. But then your head needs to be part of the equation too, to say, okay, heart, that's great that you love doing this thing, but how are we going to make money? How are we going to bring value to other people? So you make the big decisions with your heart, and then you use your head to figure out how to make it actually practical. So you're not just daydreaming constantly in la la land. We're actually turning it into something that can have a massive impact on the world. The entrepreneur success formula: you got to do what you love and figure out a way to bring value to other people doing it. When I started making my YouTube channel, I never thought I was going to make money. I did it because I love doing it. I did it because I wanted visual content. I'm a visual learner. I struggled in reading books. It took me a long time. When I read a book, unless it's really short chapters and really spaced out well, I would find myself reading 5 pages of the book and then realizing I read 5 pages and I have no idea what I just read. So I had to go back and read those 5 pages again. I would look how long a chapter was and see, oh my gosh, it's 40 pages. This chapter is going to kill me. I read because I needed to, because I wanted knowledge, but it was a really inefficient way for me to learn. I'm a visual learner. I like to see things. And so I said, well, why hasn't somebody made this? And I wanted to be around successful, famous entrepreneurs because I didn't have anybody in my life who had achieved what I wanted to achieve. And so that was the root of why I started making my videos and my content. And before YouTube, I had my website, which was similar idea of sharing the stories of famous entrepreneurs and what you can learn from their success. So I did it for myself, and then figured out, how can I do this so that I can make money doing it, so that I can do this as my full-time thing, so that I can recruit a team of people to help me do this. So now we've got a team of people who are all building these channels with me, so I can create even more impact and make even more videos. the combination led first with what I love doing. I want to create content that speaks to 19-year-old Evan who is struggling, who doesn't know what to do, who was making $300 a month, was broke, who wanted to do something big, but had very little belief in himself and didn't have a plan for what to do next. I still make my videos for 19-year-old Evan. And I had to figure out a way to turn it into a profitable business so that I can have a bigger reach and be able to do this full-time plus and have a team to help me do it. Entrepreneur Success Formula, what you love doing with what brings value to other people. Okay, so how do we do it? How do we start to figure out that process? That's an easy formula, but underneath it, let's dive a little deeper to give you even more value. Step number one is embrace the and. Most people are thinking or. Most people are thinking, do I do this or do I do this? Do I do this business or do this business? If you think about your passions and your interests, right? What do you love doing? What's your heart-centered thing that you could do all day? You probably have a couple things and you feel like you have to pick. This is the mistake. People feel like you have to pick. You don't have to pick. The actual selection is in doing both of those things combined. A lot of people have said some amazing things of me. It's very humbling. I think of Ed Milet and Gary Vee, where Gary Vee called me the DJ that likes to watch so much content and then spin it to inspire people. And Ed Milet said that I'm the modern day Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is the biggest influence of all time in personal development, and I'm the modern day Napoleon Hill. First off, that's extremely humbling, but why are they saying that? This is how I'm unique, because I love consuming all of this stuff and I love spinning it and mixing it up as well as adding my own message to things. This is how I'm different. There's a lot of people who are just sharing their message, and there's a lot of people who are also mixing things together, but there's nobody who's really mixing things together and sharing their own message, right? So instead of looking at those two things as different, right? Like I have to pick, I got to pick this or this. Like I'm going to combine them, and that's how I'm going to be unique. So think about your different interests. What do you love doing? What are your top 2-3 things that you can get lost in, and they feel completely different? Your genius is going to be in actually mixing those things together in a way that's never been done before, and then using that to bring value to people. Stop thinking or, and instead embrace the and. Step number 2 is try to get as close to customers as possible. So it's great to be making, it's great to be creating, it's great to be, imagineering of where you could go. When you start to solve the problem for yourself, that's a great step 1, because there's probably a lot of people who currently are who you used to be, and seeing how you solved it for yourself, sharing the videos. I need the videos for myself, and then I share them, and it helps other people, right? So I solve the problem for me first, you solve the problem for you first, and know there's lots of people like you, but you need to start talking to customers. You need to start getting their feedback. You need to start seeing what they interact with. And that can help guide a lot of your future product or service creation. You need to get out of just sitting by yourself on your couch researching and into actually talking to people. So a quick example from my channel, the whole top 10 rules for success thing came because I just made one video on Kanye West. That's why he's on the wall behind me. I made one video on him, and then people started requesting more. Hey, can you do Dame Dash? Hey, can you do Jay-Z? Hey, can you do Jeff Bezos? Hey, can you do Steve Jobs? Hey, can you do these people? And it's like, well, that's a cool idea. Sure, why not? I could do that. I never thought of it as being a whole series. I just wanted to give a tribute to Kanye West, and it was a one-off video. And then in the videos that people were suggesting, can you do this person, this person, this person, this person? I still get final say. We ended up having over 2,000 different requests for people to profile. I still get final say as to who we profile, because I have to feel connected to the message. And when I'm pulling out the content, if we're doing Kanye West or Steve Jobs, it's always something positive. It's always through a lens of belief, because that's what I want to put out. I don't want to put out Kanye West's biggest attacks or insults or negativity. I want to put out negativity in the world. I could easily done top 10 Kanye West stupidest things you've ever done. I'm not interested in putting that out. So it's that combination of what people are asking for. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Plus what I love doing, right? What I want to put my stake in the ground to say, I made this, right? This is the contribution that I'm trying to make to the world. Back to the entrepreneur success formula, right? What you love doing with what brings value to other people. So how to figure out what brings value to other people? You have to get as close to the customer as possible. Understand their business, understand what they're going through, understand their mindset. You solving the problem for yourself is a good first step. And then going into, okay, what are you struggling with? So number 1 is embrace the end. Number 2 is get as close as possible to the customer. And then number 3 is solve a problem. Solve a problem. As you're talking to customers, As you're talking to people who will be using your product or your service, who will be engaging with your content, as you're talking to these people, what is the problem that they're facing? What is the struggle? What is the challenge that they're facing? And then help them accomplish it. If I apply it to myself and the YouTube channels for context, one of the biggest challenges I think people have is a very poor environment. You've got people in your life who keep you where you are. Some people may be telling you that you can't do things. That's the worst case scenario. Some people might be cheering you on, but they can't guide you. You're not inspired by them. The people around you are not inspiring enough for you. And that's why you're stuck, because the environment is keeping you small. Where if you are around higher achievers, if you're around Tom Bilyeu and Oprah Winfrey and Elon Musk and these people, they would pull you to be better. And so that's the biggest problem that I see the entrepreneurs that I love helping. Is you know you're capable of more. You've got this big mission inside you. You've got the heart and the care and the willingness to serve. You've got everything, but you're not being pulled forward by anybody. And so I want to try to create that through content, because you may not be able to hang out with Tom Bilyeu and Elon Musk and Oprah Winfrey, but every day on YouTube, you can hang out with Tom Bilyeu, Elon Musk, and Oprah Winfrey from the content that I'm going to make and create, right? So that's the problem that I'm trying to solve. And I get that because it was me who struggled with it, but also the people that I see who I connect with, who are watching the videos, they're leaving feedback for me. And I'm talking to them and I realize you've got everything. You've got everything. You've got everything. You're just missing that environment to push you forward. So that's the problem that I solve. What is the problem that you solve? When you can combine your passions, right? Step number one, you're combining your passions. Step number two is we're talking to customers, people who are going to use potentially what we can create. And then you're understanding what their problem is and you solve it for them. That's how we start to build a successful business. Back to the entrepreneur success formula. If you get this formula, if you apply it, it's simple, it's basic, and it's one of the most powerful things you can ever do. And it's one of the biggest reasons why entrepreneurs don't win, despite having the heart and the care and the service. You have to combine the thing that you love doing with all your heart with something that brings value to other people. Bring those things together and you're onto your next successful business career. Good luck. Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the good deed of the day. This is something new. I believe that you're built to serve, and it feels so good to do something nice for somebody else. So good deed of the day, put down in the comments one thing that you need help with, that you're working on, that you'd love some support or guidance on. And then two, go comment on somebody else's comment and give them some love, give them some support, give them some encouragement, maybe give them some connections, try to help them solve that problem. Even if it's saying, I believe in you, that one little bit of encouragement can be the difference between somebody quitting and continuing on. So the good deed of the day, in the comments below, write down one thing that you need help on, that you're struggling with, that you're working on. And then part two is go give love to somebody else in the comments too, and let them know that you believe in them as well.
Legs crossed, back straight, eyes closed, breathing in through our noses and out through our mouths. Feeling the power of you controlling your breathing. Knowing, remembering, it's the same power we use to control our thinking. And I use that power. Use your determination to see in your mind today your best effort in all the exercises, stretches, movements we do here together. See it in your mind right now. See yourself doing the best you can, giving the best effort you've ever done for anything. Maybe you want to visualize the last time we did these exercises and stretches together. Go there and think right now about what you could do better or differently this time. It's the same process we use to grow our minds and grow the strength and health of our bodies and energy. All right, good morning, determination. How's everyone today? Another day in the gym of life. Wherever you are, if you're at home, outdoors, indoors, let's go. Let's make this the best gym period ever. Here we go. All right, when I say go, we're gonna start jogging on the spot. But for now, if you would like, just to slowly warm up, you can walk on the spot or walk side to side, okay? So walking on the spot first or side to side, wherever you are. When I say go, we'll start jogging. Ready, and go. Again, remembering our breathing. Always controlling our breathing as best we can. And focusing on the movement of our body right now. The awareness of what we're doing. The awareness of being here together right now. United in the gym of life, always, wherever we are. Keep going, everyone, keep going. A few more seconds to warm up our bodies. Feel the power of your heart beating faster. Your breathing wanting to change and go faster, but you get to control that breathing. Always the way we control our thoughts. And stop. All right, everyone, walking. Just gonna walk side to side here. You can do the same. Remember to always move safely within the space that you have. Continue to take deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Feel your heart, your breathing, all coming back to the previous state before we started jogging. let's start doing our stretches. Let's do shoulder rolls first. Here we go. Roll the shoulders forward 10 times. Big shoulder rolls all the way up to your ears as much as possible and all the way around. Let's do 10 forward and then 10 backwards. Feeling that tension and then that release as we come around. All right, let's go backwards. Feeling the joy of being able to move our bodies to release some of that tension, maybe that tightness we might have. So important that we work on our bodies and our minds every day. As we work on one, we work on the other. All right, arm circles forward, everyone. 10 forward. Here we go. Slowly, all the way up and around. Excellent. All right, and backwards, everyone. Again, feeling the joy of your arms moving through space. You controlling your physical body. All through the most marvelous supercomputer in the universe, your mind. All right, good. Hands on your hips, everyone. Bend your knees and side stretch. Let's do 5 on each side. All right, excellent. Okay, let's twist our bodies now. Twist. Again, 5 on each side. Feeling the joy of moving our midsection of our body. Just the middle point of our body. All right, excellent. Okay, let's do 5 push-ups, everyone. Our best 5 push-ups. Here we go. All the way down, all the way up. The best you can. All right. And 5 sit-ups. Best 5 sit-ups ever. Here we go. All right, and stand up, everyone. Let's do 5 squats. Here we go. All the way down, all the way up. Down. Looking straight ahead. Feet flat on the floor. Excellent. Let's do 6 lunges, 3 on each side. Alternating legs. Arms out. Back straight. Good. All right. 10-second plank, belly's knees off the ground. Hold it there for 10. Excellent job, everyone. Okay, stand up and reach for the ceiling or the sky, wherever you are, on your toes. Here we go. Reaching and holding it there for 10 seconds. Again, feeling your body, every part of it working to achieve the goal of holding this for 10 seconds. Excellent. And reach for your toes, straight knees. Go as far as you can. Remember, you may not touch your toes, that's okay. Reaching is the most important thing. Going for it. Doing your best without hurting yourself. Keep those knees straight. Excellent. And come on up. And let's balance. Grab one leg, bend the other knee if you have to, and hold it there for 10 seconds. Keep fighting to keep your balance if you have to. Keep thinking. Channeling your thoughts to keep your balance. Excellent. All right, and switch. Again, pulling your leg back, feeling the stretch on the front of the thigh. Bend the other knee if you have to. Remember, if you lose your balance, you fall, you get right back up. Never give up, never stay down. Always do your best to get right back up. All right, here we go. Let's hug our knee now. Hugging the knee, pulling it up. Once again, thinking about what we're doing. Trying to find that balance point. Bend the other knee if you have to. Hold it for 10 seconds. And switch the other one, slowly coming up. And find that balance. Feel your body working to find that balance. All right, excellent. Holding it for 10. Okay, and good. Let's sit down, everyone, and reach for our toes. Straight knees. Hold it there for 10 seconds. Again, thinking about our breathing. One great breath in at a time. One great thought in at a time. All right, let's make a V shape with our legs and reach for the floor as far away from our body as we can. Just reach. Reach as far as you can go away from your body. And reach for one side, hold it for 10 seconds. And good, the other side, 10 seconds. Again, if you don't touch your toe, it's okay, just reach. Reach, always go for it, always do your best. If you feel a pain though, make sure you come back a little bit. Okay, and feet together. Gently push your knees down with your elbows. Hold it for 10 seconds again. And always remember that breathing. Good air in. And bad air out. Good. And one leg forward, one leg back. Keep the knee on the ground. Go as far back as you can. Hold it there for 10 seconds. All right, and switch to the other side. Again, keep that knee on the ground so you feel the pull on the front of your thigh. Doesn't matter if you're not all the way back with your back, it's okay. All right, good. And roll onto your belly. Push the floor and look up at the ceiling. Cobra stretch. Here we go. Hold it for 10 seconds. Or look up at the sky if you're outdoors. All right, and legs crossed again, everyone. Back straight. Eyes closed. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And now, using our powerful imagination to see what we will do when that music goes on. I'm going to play some of my favorite songs today. For each song, I'm going to hold an exercise position. For me today, I'm going to visualize and see in my mind holding the lunge position for each leg for the duration of the first song. For the second song, I'll be holding the V sit-up position as long as I can, for as long as I can, but I will continue right to the end of the song. How about you? Play your two favorite songs or two songs that change your energy state so you can be your true great self and motivate yourself. Or you can listen to my music, but whatever you do, see in your mind right now the two exercises you've chosen to do, or stretches, or movements, or dances, or something that you want to do to work on your body safely when that music goes on. See it right now, clearly in your mind, because you were born to do that. You were born to see it in your mind and make it real with your eyes open in the world. All right, here we go, determination, here we go. For me, it's lunge position, here I go. Try to keep my back straight, keep that knee off the ground. If you're doing the same, Again, do your best. Hold it there. Hold it there as long as you can. I'm going to try to hold this leg for half the song and then hold the other side for half the song. And if you want, yeah, clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth, as Pharrell sings over here right now. I think happiness is the truth. We were born to be happy, all of us, no matter what. For me, there's no greater happiness than working on my mind and body all the time, wherever I go in the gym of life. And I hope the same for you. But remember, you were born to be happy, to be free, to be peaceful, kind, and loving, always. I'm happy right now. I hope you're happy right now. Because if you can be happy now, you can be happy forever. Wherever you are, no matter what. All right. Whew. Let's do the other leg. Shake it out a little bit. All right, here we go. Don't let anybody or anything ever bring you down. You were born to be happy. That's up to you. Always up to you. No matter how hard things are, always remember your determination. Your power to determine, to make the positive, accurate, truthful, winning, loving choice. Always. To be good. To be your best for others, no matter what. Even when things are uncomfortable, like right now, this is getting uncomfortable for me. But I get to keep going. I get to keep using my determination. Because I'm happy, I love it. And I want happiness for you and everyone, the whole universe. And I pray for that every single day. Whew. Song's not over. I gotta keep going. Let's do the other leg. Let's do the other one. Yeah. Let's clap along, yeah. Happiness is the truth for sure. Here we go. And switch the other leg. There we go. Find that balance. Let's go, everyone. Clap along wherever you are. Happiness is the truth. Let's go. Thank you, Pharrell. You were born with happiness. You're made of happiness and truth. Oh. All right, I'm proud of your effort, wherever you are. Let's go.
Kira and Zach are collaborating.
All right, next song, everyone. Let's go. V-sits for me, V-sit up for me position. How about you? What are you gonna work on? Let's see. Whatever it is, do your best. Here we go. If you want to try what I'm doing, go for it. Let's go, everyone, together. If you got your own exercise, your own movement you're doing, go for it. It is a bright, sunshiny day where I am, right here, right now, doing this video for you, for all of us, for myself. I hope the same for you. But more importantly, I hope that it's bright, clear, and sunny, always in your mind, right now, wherever you are. Because that's always up to us. Oh, I love it. I love working on being our best in whatever we do. No matter how hard it might be, no matter how challenging. should always be nothing but blue sky of thoughts in our mind. Clearness, clarity. We can do it. It's up to us. We were born to do it. To let those dark clouds pass, those thoughts, those negative thoughts. And remember the truth of what we are, who we are. Whew. I love it. I can see clearly right now. I know I got more. Here we go. Song's not over. Let's go, Mr. Francis. Let's go. Let's go, Nick. Here we go. Keep going, everyone, wherever you are. Keep going. Let's go. This is the best effort ever we're giving, right? The best effort, no matter what. The way we do this is the way we'll do everything. Fall, we get right back up. Still not over. Song's not over. Let's go. Keep going. We fall, we get right back up. Never give up. Never. Never give up until it's a bright, sunshiny day. In your mind, and we've done the best to help other people with their mind. It's possible. All through your determination. Let's go, everybody. Oh, great effort. And here we are again. Legs crossed, back straight, eyes closed. Deep breaths in through our noses and out through our mouths. The way we began. The way it all begins, always. Always with our thoughts. Our powerful minds. Which are always subject to our control. No matter how hard it's been to control them. We know the truth, don't we? We saw it today in our effort. We see it every day in life, in the gym of life. We know that we have the power to determine what thoughts we will act upon. And therefore, we also have that power to determine what feelings we will allow to flow out and through us. Because our feelings are ultimately connected to our thinking. If we control our breath with our thoughts, we can always control our thoughts and therefore our feelings. To learn and to grow and to be mind healthy and mind wealthy. Peaceful, kind, loving, free, and successful in whatever we do, wherever we are, no matter what. That's why we are already, whether we know it or not, determined nation, a people, a nation that always has the power to determine, to think, and to be positively, undoubtedly, unwaveringly loving, no matter what. Great job today, everyone. I love you so much. Another great time here together. This is probably one of our last for the summer. I hope you enjoy every moment, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Whether you're in a classroom, at work, at home, wherever you are. Enjoy every moment. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you, to continue growing our minds and our bodies together. But remember the truth, no matter what. Wherever you go, wherever you are already in the gym of life, where you can always grow your mind and your body. I love you. Thank you so much for always helping me grow my mind and my body. And may today and everything we've done together, our time together, and wherever you are, with whoever you're with, may that always be an expression of who and what we really are. I love you, everyone. Have a great summer. I will see and connect with you as soon as the time comes. I love you all.
Is basically designed to be customized in the early part of life, and then to implement those algorithms and that circuitry for the rest of its life. And so the brain can change in adulthood, and it can change provided that there's an emphasis on some perceptual event. So in other words, if you want to change your brain as an adult, let's say you want to be less anxious, you want to learn a new language, you want to be more functional in some way, presumably. The key thing is to bring focus to some particular perception of something that's happening during the learning process. And the reason for that is that there's a neurochemical system involving acetylcholine. And it comes from these two little nuclei down in the base of the brain called nucleus basalis. All day long, you're doing things in a reflexive way. But when you do something and you think about it very intensely, acetylcholine is released from basalis at the precise neurons that were involved in that behavior, and it marks those for change during sleep or during deep rest later. So for people that want to change their brain, the power of focus is really the entry point, and the ability to access deep rest and sleep. Because most people don't realize this, but neuroplasticity is triggered by intense focus. But neuroplasticity occurs during deep sleep and rest. One of the things that's really important also to think about how the brain works in terms of plasticity and all this stuff is what the brain really wants to do is also pass as much of what it does off to reflexive behavior as possible. So, so when we're talking about focus, I think it can get a little bit vague, but it might be useful to think about like what exactly is focus and what triggers plasticity. So the brain loves to be able to just do things, pick up coffee cups and drink and walk and talk and do things and not put much energy into it. When we decide to focus, what the brain really does is it switches on a set of circuits that involve the frontal cortex and nucleus basalis and some others, and it's trying to understand duration, how long something's going to last, path, what's going to happen, and outcome, what ultimately is going to happen. So duration, path, and outcome. You know, the events of early 2020 are a good example of this. One of the reasons why it's so exhausting to be alive in 2020 is because we are now having to pay attention to duration, path, and outcome. How long is this thing going to last? When are they going to open up all businesses? Did I touch that door handle? Does it matter?
Right.
Who are the experts? Are there any experts? There are a lot of questions, whereas normally we can just move through life without having to do all that analysis. So if it's a simple example like trying to learn a new language or a new motor skill or a new way of conceptualizing something, maybe somebody's in a therapeutic process and they're trying to work through a trauma or something like that, duration, path, and outcome is built into the networks of the brain. We can do that very easily, but it takes work. And it almost has a feeling of underlying agitation and frustration. And that's because the circuits that turn on before acetylcholine are of the stress system. So when you or I decide we're going to learn something and really dig in, norepinephrine, which is adrenaline, is secreted in the brainstem and in the body, and it brings about a state of alertness. Then our attention, which is mostly a diffuse light, is brought to a particular duration, path, and outcome analysis. This would be thinking about what somebody is saying. What are they really trying to say? A hard passage of reading, a hard set of math problems, a challenging physical workout. When you do that, these two systems have to work very hard, and the adult brain doesn't really want to change the algorithms it learned in childhood. But if you do those two things, you have alertness and focus. The acetylcholine and the norepinephrine converge to mark those synapses for change. And so the way to think about neuroplasticity, if one wants to change their brain, is bring about the most intense concentration you can to something, and then later bring about the least amount of concentration to that thing.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na na na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Dr. Andrew Huberman, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Rule
Welcome to the Amazon Fulfillment Center tour, where
Rule number 2, move to action.
Forward movement, provided it doesn't endanger you or kill you, is absolutely the remedy for fear, stress, and at least in the clinical literature, to these sort of trauma events, that people carry with them for many years. Of course, trauma needs to be dealt with, hopefully with a professional, but we can all apply these mechanisms and these neurochemical reward schedules. So the study that you're referring to is a beautiful one. There's a classic study where researchers, not my lab, put two rats, or you could do this with mice, into a tube. And the tendency is for them to try and push one or the other one out. One always wins and pushes the other one out. We call the one that got pushed out the loser, the one that pushed them out the winner. Here are the interesting things about this. First of all, the winner will tend to win in other battles, even though these are just pushing battles, more because it simply won the time before. The loser, by losing, will tend to lose. And so people say, oh, well, that explains a lot about society, et cetera. Well, here's where it gets really interesting. You can even take a mouse or a rat and push it from behind and make it the winner. And then on subsequent trials where you're not pushing it, it will tend to win more often. So the win doesn't even have to come from itself. So last year, there was a very important paper published about this, where a set of researchers just said, well, what is it? Like, what is this winning circuit and this losing circuit? Enough with the demonstration that this happens. Like, what's happening what's under the hood? And so they went into the brain and they identified a brain area, which is part of the frontal cortex, the area that we typically think about planning, action, executive function, all the kind of high level stuff. And what they discovered was this brain area is more active in the winner than in the loser. In fact, they could take the loser and overstimulate this area and turn the losers into winners. Now, it gets even more ridiculous than that. If you quiet this area, winners become losers, okay? And if you take a winner and let's say at this tube battle, and you put them into, let's say, a cold environment with a bunch of other mice, and you have just a warm corner, mice don't like to be cold, and you say, who gets the warm corner, right? Who gets the luxury spot? It's always the winner. So it even breaks down at the level of social interactions. And so you say, okay, all right, now we know that's this brain area. It's this one area of the frontal cortex, but what's it actually doing, right? Okay, what's it actually, how can we translate this? Turns out this brain area that's responsible and required for winning in this series of experiments is actually driving up the level of activation you and I would call agitation or stress, to the point where that animal is more likely to move forward. It's simply taking stress, which is wired into us in order to make us feel agitated, instead of suppressing us, instead of saying, I'm just going to sit here, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not going to do it, I'm just going to move into action. So there's a circuit for winning. There's the same circuit when it's hypoactive, not active enough, is what causes losing in these competitive scenarios. And similarly, there's a circuit for quitting. There's a norepinephrine circuit in the brainstem. This was published in the last couple of years, showing that when animals or people are in constant effort, eventually that level of norepinephrine gets so high that it triggers a circuit that shuts down the motor control over the limbs, and you just say, that's it, I give up, I'm done. So these mechanisms were hardwired into us. We all have them. Whether or not it's from evolution, Mother Nature, God, the universe, it's irrelevant to the discussion that these circuits exist in everybody. And I think it's a select few people who really understand that forward action is what drives these circuits. It's the ability to take that agitation, stress, agitation, increase our focus, and they bias us for movement. And nature wanted that. They want us to move forward in the face of challenge, not to be quiescent. We weren't sitting around battling tigers and saber-toothed tigers all the time. More likely, we were in caves and we were getting hungry and we had to go out and search for things. Agitation and stress were designed to get us up and move us. And when we try and fight that too much and we try and quiet that stress, that actually can be problematic. You have to decide, are you going to try and quiet stress or are you going to actually lean into action? That's a critical choice point for everybody who's experienced anything negative or positive for that matter.
Rule number 3, divorce the mind and body.
The mind plays an important role in interpreting whether or not it's overwhelming or tolerable. So intense breathing like tumo breathing, or ice baths or cold showers, or intense exercise like high intensity interval training type stuff, teaches the mind to be comfortable in these higher stress states where, in other words, it teaches people to be comfortable when they have a lot of adrenaline in their body. This is basically stress inoculation. But stress inoculation is not about not getting stressed. It's actually about divorcing the mind-body relationship a bit so that you're calm in the mind when your body is very amplified.
Stress.
Yeah, so if you've ever done tumo-type breathing or you've done a cold shower, the goal is to get the adrenaline release.
And then calm your mind.
And then calm your mind.
Rule number 4, understand the nervous system.
If you wear glasses or contacts, you must see this. An award-winning doctor reveals
The nervous system is designed to orchestrate all the processes in the body, not just thinking and not just behavior. It really can be divided into 5 things. So there's sensation, and sensation is really bound or restricted by the receptors in the body. So receptors in the eye that perceive photons, light energy, receptors in the skin that perceive pressure, touch receptors, smell, taste, hearing, etc. And the interesting thing about sensation and the fact that the nervous system needs to pay attention to sensation is it's non-negotiable. The nervous system of humans is designed to extract physical phenomenon from the universe that are non-negotiable, photons of light. I can't see in the infrared with my eyes, and I can't see ultraviolet light with my eyes, and I can't perceive that because I don't have the receptors for it. So other animals can perceive some of those things, but that leads us to the next thing, which is perception, which is which sensations are you paying attention to? So all the time you're sensing things. Like right now, your feet are sensing the contact with your shoes, but you're not thinking about it until I say that, and then you shift your perception. Right. So perception is like this spotlight. So the brain wants to constantly bring in sensation. It's non-negotiable what's coming in. It's just dependent on your environment. Perception is negotiable. You can control that because I just said shoes and you thought about your feet and there you are. Then there are feelings, which can be a little bit nebulous, but feelings are a link between our emotion and it generally invokes the body, sensations in the body and concepts in the mind of what those sensations are about. That's really what emotions are. Animals definitely experience them. I'm kind of appalled to think that 10 years ago, people were like, do animals have emotions? Of course they have emotions, right? Because those are bodily sensations merged with some perception. So of course they do. And then there's thoughts. And thoughts are interesting because thoughts happen spontaneously. Think about like a web browser that's constantly giving you pop-ups. But thoughts can also be deliberate. So you and I can decide right now that we're going to think about a plan for something, or we're going to think about what's going on in the world. So thoughts happen spontaneously and they can be deliberate. And then the final thing is behaviors and actions. So the nervous system is responsible for sensation, perception, feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. And what's interesting, you start to think about that as you're like, okay, that's a lot, but what is the nervous system really trying to accomplish? Like on any given day or at any moment, what's it trying to accomplish? And it's really trying to accomplish one thing, which is to take perceptions of the outside world and merge those with perceptions of the inside world, what we call interoception, and to link those in a way that's operating on our environment in the appropriate way. So what do I mean by that? So if I'm feeling anxious and I'm in a very calm environment, I'm going to perceive that rapid heart rate and kind of feeling of agitation in my body as inappropriate for the moment. right? And my goal then as an organism is to adjust my level of what they call autonomic arousal or alertness down. If I'm at a great party, or I'm at a wedding, or it's a celebration, or I'm at a protest, or then I might feel that my level of alertness is appropriate for my environment. So the nervous system is in this constant dynamic interaction with the outside world and trying to figure that out. One way that this can be kind of conceptualized is there's an emerging idea that's kind of interesting about impatience. So we've all had the feeling of being impatient. Some people are far more patient than others. But if you've ever been in line at the store and you feel like something's going very slowly, the person in front of you is taking a long time, they're doing some returns, and you're getting kind of impatient, maybe you're breathing in a mask, and you're like, ugh, like what's the idea is that if you're getting a certain frequency of pulses from your body, and if those pulses are coming in quickly, like you're perceiving yourself, that interoception quickly, it's like pulse, 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 pulse. You're going to be more geared towards your internal representation. And then you're seeing what's going on in the outside world, and it seems like it's going very slowly. But there are other times when you're in line at the store, someone's getting some returns and you're texting on your phone, or you've had a great day, you've had a great run, your family's in great shape, and you're fine. Why? Well, the frequency of those pulses, that interoception, is matched pretty well to your outside environment. And so impatience is really when your internal sort of metronome, tick, 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 is not matched well to the external environment. There are other times when you're feeling like your internal metronome is tick, 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 and you've got a million things coming at you through email or text, and you've got a bunch of things, and you're feeling overwhelmed and tired. Well, in either case, there's nothing right or wrong. It's just your body and your brain are trying to say, what's going on in the outside world and how well matched am I to it?
Right.
So if you think about some of the sort of core practices of mindfulness and self-regulation, of like focusing on breathing or focusing on state of mind, a lot of that is trying to bring more awareness to your internal state. But what our brain is normally doing when our eyes are open and we're interacting in the world is we're constantly trying to update our internal state to match external demands of the world. And this harkens back to a really early design of all nervous systems, which is, how do you take an organism that needs certain things, food, water, mates, reproduction, shelter, how do you move that organism? How do you create a system that will do that in best relation to the environment? And so what Mother Nature has done is designed a series of systems. Let's just take agitation and stress for one. If an animal or a human is very thirsty, you feel kind of agitated, you might get up and get a drink of water. If you're very thirsty, it can put you into a state of panic. If you're extremely thirsty and water is a limited resource, you might even resort to violence to get it, or negotiation of some sort that you wouldn't if you were calmer. So the stress and agitation were designed to actually mobilize the body to take us in the direction of something that's adaptive. So you can start to see these kind of core elements of what the brain and nervous system do: sensation, perception, feeling, thought, and action. And this constant challenge of trying to match our internal state to the external real estate, the outside world. And you start to see that the sensations that we call stress or impatience or calm are really the result of those attempts that the nervous system is trying to perform.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, make small steps.
And this is what people from elite special forces can do. They know how to make small, simple, physical steps in the real world that allow them to build on these reward circuitries, but they don't get delusional about how they're doing. They know, they keep the end in mind, but they get very micro. They move the horizon in very close. And so if you can move the horizon to something you know you can complete and you reward that, you essentially are where you were before You're just as strong, if not stronger, but you're heading in the direction you need to go. You're not depleting, you're not spending out anything. And it feels a little weird because none of us like to reward things that aren't external, but the ability to control these internal reward schedules is everything.
Rule number 6, introduce deliberate thoughts.
You've never seen anything like this for preventing memory loss. Learn how you can protect your brain from cognitive.
To what extent does our subjective narrative,
The story we
tell ourselves, actually mean something for the body? And to what extent does the body actually mean something for the subjective narrative? So this gets into some areas of work that we're doing now. And so I do want to highlight that it's ongoing work. But I think, the old narrative, meaning 10 years ago, was that if you're feeling depressed, just smile. Well, if that worked,
Right.
we would have a lot less depression than we see out there. The reason I call it a brain-body contract early on is that the brain and the body are constantly in dialogue. So, the idea that when we're depressed, we tend to be in more defensive type postures. When we're feeling good, we tend to be in more like relaxed and extended postures. All true. But it does not mean that just by occupying the extended posture that I'm going to completely shift the mind.
Right.
That's a first step. Think about like two interlocking gears. It's one gear that turns the other, but then they need to kind of dance together before you can get the whole system going.
So how do you get it to dance together?
Exactly. So there is one way in which subjective thought and deliberate thought is very powerful over states of mind and body. To answer your question, can you think your way out of the ice bath being cold? So a couple things that are important. First of all, just to go a little deeper on what thoughts are. Thoughts happen spontaneously all the time. Mm-hmm. They're popping up like a poorly filtered internet connection. But thoughts can also be deliberately introduced. For instance, right now, I can say, okay, have a thought that just decide to write your name. And you can do that. I'm going to decide to write my name, and you can do it. So that's a deliberate thought, which says that you can introduce thought. So I think it's very hard to control negative thoughts directly by trying to suppress them. Generally, they tend to just want to continue to geyser up all the time. But we can introduce a positive thought.
Rule number 7, calm down.
An ability to control your levels of stress in real time is extremely powerful. It turns out you can do this using physiology and neuroscience. Your breathing can directly impact your heart rate and your level of stress or calm. Here's how it works. When you inhale, your diaphragm moves down. This creates more space in your thoracic cavity, and your heart actually gets a little bit bigger. As a consequence, the rate of blood flow through that larger heart volume slows down. A signal is sent from a group of neurons on your heart called the sinoatrial node. That signal goes up to the brain, and your brain sends a signal to speed the heart up. In other words, inhaling speeds your heart rate up. The opposite is true as well. When you exhale, your diaphragm moves up. Your heart gets a little bit smaller because there's a little bit less space in your thoracic cavity. As a consequence, blood flows more quickly through that smaller volume. The sinoatrial node registers that and sends a signal to your brain, and the brain sends a signal to slow the heart down. So in other words, inhaling speeds your heart rate up, exhaling slows your heart rate down. So if you want to speed up your heart rate and be more alert, inhale more or make those inhales more vigorous, more intense. If you want to calm down, you can do that quickly by making your exhales slightly longer than your inhales or making them more vigorous. This doesn't require any breath work. This is something that you can do in real time. And that's what's called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. That's the technical phrase. It's also the basis of what's called heart rate variability, or HRV. But all you need to remember is inhaling deeper and longer will speed your heart rate up. Exhaling longer and more intensely will slow your heart rate down and will allow you to calm down in real time.
Rule number 8, practice lateral eye movement.
Acetylcholine is the neurochemical that we want to think about anytime we're talking about neural plasticity, and in particular, attention, high attentional states. So everyone knows that the brain is very plastic early in life. So from birth until about age 25, you can learn so much, for better or for worse. I always say the downside is that early in life, you have less control over your life circumstances, but your brain is very plastic. So there's a dark and light to that. Later in life, you have a lot more control generally over your life circumstances, but the brain becomes less plastic. However, We know, based on Nobel Prize winning work and recent work in addition to that, that the neuromodulator acetylcholine is secreted when we pay attention to something very specific. It acts as sort of a spotlight in the brain, making certain synapses, the connections between neurons, more active and more likely to be active again than others. So when you hear that song that you love so much and it moves you and you feel dopamine being pulsed into your body, that's a real thing. You're actually getting dopamine secretion. You've formed that deep association with that. And acetylcholine draws your attention to that. And that song is essentially wired in a very indelible way into your nervous system at multiple. You can probably, even with certain songs, you can feel your body start to energize because, of course, the brain, through connections with your muscles, controls your body. So for things that are traumatic or negative, what we're really talking about is neuroplasticity that's focused on unlearning. And most of the therapies for this, whether or not it's EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, or it's traditional psychoanalysis and psychotherapy, or it's somatic embodied release, big, Kundalini breathing type, almost all of those are designed to do something, which is to bring the person, or you bring yourself, into a state of heightened alertness, right? You can't do this stuff when you're sort of half asleep. Heightened alertness, and then focusing your attention on the traumatic or negative event. This is the way that it works. And then pairing that with something new. Traditionally this was done with things like NLP or in talk therapy, where people would feel the positive relationship with the therapist. That was kind of the main rationale in association with this very traumatic, sometimes even, shameful type events. And the idea is that you would simultaneously have those two experiences, the negative one and the feeling of safety, and you would rewire those circuitries. I actually believe that can work, but it can take a lot of times. It can take a lot of visits to the therapist, which is not to say it's bad. It's just not everyone has access to those resources. Things like eye movement desensitization reprocessing, simply moving the eyes laterally while recounting these negative events. The woman who devised this figured out that somehow when people recount these traumatic experiences, when they're doing these lateralized eye movements, not vertical eye movements, they somehow separate out the negative emotions. And I thought for years, people would ask me about this stuff, Tom, and I thought, this is ridiculous. First of all, I'm a vision scientist and I work on stress. It's like, there's no way. And then I really ate my words, because 4 papers, 2 in humans, 2 in mice, and then a 5th paper published in Nature, which is kind of our Super Bowl of scientific publishing, showed that these lateralized eye movements quiet the amygdala. They actually suppress activation of this threat detection center in the amygdala. And
why would that be true?
So this is really where it gets cool. Turns out, because of when the way that we view the visual world when we move through space, when our head moves or when we walk and things flow past us, that these lateralized eye movements are what happens when you move forward in space, when you're walking, when you're moving forward towards something. And that suppresses activation of the amygdala. Now you say, why? Well, okay, so then 2018, my laboratory did an experiment. There was actually a graduate student in my laboratory where we're looking at fear. In this case, we were looking at fear to big looming objects that either trigger freezing or running and hiding. There's a brain area that's in your brain and my brain that mice also have that triggers a third option, not run and hide, not freeze, but forward confrontation. This is the, no, I'm going to fight. I'm going to move forward in the face of adversity. This is the growth mindset. I'm going to lean into friction. And it turns out that this circuit is linked to the dopamine reward pathway. When we move forward in the face of a threat, and obviously we want to do this in healthy, adaptive ways, we suppress activity of the amygdala through physical action of moving forward, and there's a signal sent to the areas of the brain that control dopamine reward. Those reward centers then trigger the release of dopamine to reward forward effort in the face of stress or threat. So when you hear about people saying, look, take some physical action when you're feeling exhausted. Take some forward physical action when you're feeling overwhelmed by this traumatic experience. Now that could be in the form of a walk. Now this therapist, she figured out with EMDR, because you can't take people walking around for therapy sessions, she figured out that these lateralized eye movements are what triggers suppression of the amygdala. And it makes perfect sense, because the amygdala, this threat detection center in our brain, it doesn't connect to the limbs. So how does it know if you're moving forward? Well, because the eyes are moving. You have these reflexive eye movements that move anytime you're moving through space. So to make this a little more succinct, it's really forward movement, action, pushing yourself across that threshold. Not only rewards you, but it suppresses activity of the fear centers in the brain. And these are ancient hardwired mechanisms. These aren't hacks. These are things that Mother Nature installed in us.
Rule number 9, create positive thoughts.
I'm a big fan of wellness, and I think it's a great community, but it tends to run in absolutes, and there aren't a lot of operational definitions, as we say in science. And what I love about your questions, you're asking for really getting to the meat of things, asking for the operational definitions. One of the most dangerous ideas in wellness and in popular psychology is that your body hears every thought you have. What a terrible thing to put on people. You know, what a challenging thing. I don't think people should try and suppress their negative thoughts. I think there is great value, however, to introducing positive thought schemes. Now, the reason is not because I think it's just because I think so, but because there's actually a neurochemical basis for controlling stress and actually making stress more tolerable and extending one's ability to be in bouts of effort. And that relates to the dopamine pathway. So the molecule dopamine is a reward. It's released in the brain when you win a game, you close a deal, you meet the love of your life, someone likes your photo, the great love of your life, you complete something. But most of our dopamine release is not from achieving goals. It's actually released when we are en route to our goals, when we're in pursuit of our goals, and we think we're on the right path.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is meditate.
One meditation, very short, 5 minutes, where for one breath, you close your eyes and go internal, and you get behind, and some people call it the third eye, right? I'm gonna get the language wrong, but we all know what we're talking about. You get inside your breath. And then the second thing you do is you focus on something at a short distance. There's a powerful system in your brain when you focus both eyes on a single point, like a watchmaker making a watch, or you're reading. That state is accessing very specific channels in your brain that are very different from the one that when you close your eyes, okay? And it's called a vergence eye movement when you put both your eyes on the same thing. And then the last one is the one that we get a lot of here, that feeling, awesome feeling when you go out to the beach or you're on the top of a mountain or you look at the horizon or you arrive in New York City if you're me and you just go, oh my God, and you're defocused. And that's when these ideas, the creativity kind of spontaneously geysers up from below. But then you have to get back and you need to get to work on something. And so what's been very powerful, and we're putting patients through this, or subjects in brain imaging, is this way of accessing all these different brain states is really about accessing different notions of space and time, trying to get access to your whole brain. And it's a short meditation. I recommend just one breath at each of these kind of stations, in your mind, up close and focusing on your hand, and out. And I'll repeat that a few times during my morning, or maybe once or twice during the day. It's quick, and we're getting remarkable feedback from the people that are doing this about the kind of state that it puts them in, both engaged and present with the bigger picture. And in the end, it's all about the bigger picture, right? Because it's about not just what you do with your life, but how you're gonna create good in the world.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and just get motivated, the science says you have a 35% chance of actually following through on your goals. That's not good enough. No, not for you, Believe Nation. We gotta do something. But when you write it down and you create a specific plan of action for the next week, that number jumps to 91% chance of you following through. And when you commit to somebody else, like leaving a comment on this video, it jumps to 95%. You need to follow through on your goals. So what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your specific plan of action for the next week? Put it down in the comments below so I can celebrate you.